Scales wins the header. The chance! Yeah! Oh, there's the goal! That's Troy Parrott. That is unbelievable. He scored a hat-trick. And right at the death, Ireland have done it. I've never seen anything like it. This is just stunning. 3-2. The time is up. The referee has to finish the game. I've no voice left. Soboslai again. He gets away from Eden. Soboslai delivers the ball in. Creevy, Kelleher catches it. Kelleher's got it. The referee has to blow it up now.
Come on.
He has to finish it now. The 5 minutes, well, that was 2 minutes ago. Here we go. Kelleher just launch it down the field.
Timing just hit the channel.
They've been playing catch up all night. There it is. It's over. It's over. And Budapest, the Puskás Arena, joins the likes of Stuttgart, Giant Stadium, Vienna. Remember the win over Austria? Oh, Vienna. It's one of those nights that we're going to talk about for a long, long time. You gave us many of them.
We thought Thursday night was special.
Oh, no.
Tonight, in that last few seconds of the game.
I tell you, we said at the start we believed. The belief was rocked and it shook during the game, but we should never have doubted them.
I am lost for words. What an extraordinary story this is. You said Thursday was the best night of your life. You've just topped that.
Yeah, I'm really, really emotional right now. Sorry. The tears of joy. What a night. What a night.
It was made for you. I mean, I don't know even the penalty to begin with. It took so long. Were you waiting for the referee's whistle, or were you just trying to psych the keeper out?
The referee told me to wait for the signal, so I was waiting for him to blow his whistle, but then he never blew it, so I looked at him, then he told me I could take it. So
how did you keep your cool though? I mean, you must have been so nervous.
I don't know. I'd rather have that pressure on me, and whatever happens will happen, than to put it on somebody else and leave it out of my hands. I'd rather it be in my hands. I can't believe it. I really can't believe it.
Well, the second goal, I mean, striker's instinct. That's what it's all about. What you've been practicing all your life.
Yeah, this is why we love football, because things like this can happen. Look, Tony, I love where I'm from. So this means the world to me. My family's here.
I saw you go over to them. It's a beautiful moment.
Yeah, it's the first time I've cried in years as well. I really, really can't believe it. Look, I think everyone wrote us off at the start of the group, and I couldn't have said it enough that there's always a chance. And we've taken a chance. I think everyone should be proud of the group of players that are over there. To go down in the game twice and then to come back like that is, it's beautiful.
Oh, it was marvellous. Troy, thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, what about that then? We are live on Flirt FM. It is Ireland Radar. It is the day after one of the biggest results in Irish sporting history. I'm joined here by James French. James, I can't even begin to think how this show is going to go today. Just tell us how you're feeling. I think we're a day removed and we're still feeling the same way we did yesterday.
Just when I thought it was out, they pulled me back in.
I'm so excited that I forgot to turn your mic on, but we're back. What did you say there?
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
To quote the great George Hamilton, it's Stuttgart, it's New Jersey, it's Lille, and now it's Budapest. They're all rolled into one. Thanks to one man, Troy Parrott. 5 goals in 2 games for Troy Parrott. I mean, we haven't seen much of that. We definitely haven't seen much in our lifetime. It's been 10 years since we've had a result like that, almost nearly close enough to the day, really. And we've just got such an exciting show here. We're going to be joined by Stephen Finn in about 5 or 10 minutes to discuss everything that's happened. We're just having a few technical difficulties at the moment, but we're going to get through that. James, how did that all unfold for you?
Yeah, I think
Troy summed it up perfectly in his post-match interview with Tony O'Donoghue. Just, you can't even dream about something like that. Prior to this international break, there was no hope. Like, it wasn't like we were coming into this maybe with a faint chance. There was kind of a sense among all Irish fans that the kind of any chance at the World Cup were gone. And as we've seen, that unbelievable result and performance at home to Portugal seems to really obviously spurred on something, gave the team a lot of belief and confidence. And yeah, we've just went and defeated Hungary in their backyard 3-2 and are now looking at a semi-final and a final, 2 cup finals really to make it to the World Cup. So it's very surreal. At the time, even going in a half time 2-1, like, there was a sense that we were kind of, it was going to take a lot for us to come back and win and go through. Like, when is the last time we've seen Ireland score 3 goals away from home? When's the last time we've went away to a higher ranked nation and won? Like, these are all so many little feats that have been achieved in just one game. Obviously Parrott scoring, first Irish player to score a hat-trick away from home for Ireland in international football. So it's just so many little feats that have been achieved in one just absolutely mental game that is surely going to go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, qualification World Cup game of all time. I mean,
I think it looked like a team determined to make that Portugal game mean something, and like, I mean, so great was that game, we're probably not going to get a chance to talk about the Portugal game at the moment. Like, it was just not long ago really that we had, you know, we were calling Heimer a dead man walking, and I don't know how we've got here. You know, he's certainly saved his job. I mean, he's probably going to be the Ireland manager going forward now, and obviously we've got playoffs and everything else to come, really. Yeah, like, even I think it's just a given now that he will be given a new contract. It's, as you said, we've been talking about the last couple of weeks about potential managers to come in replace of Heimer, which is an absolute crazy kind of thing to say after such a big result. And I just genuinely, like, at the time, I was absolutely speechless, and I still kind of am finding it hard to put it into words really, what has happened. But I think as we go on here, it'll kind of come clearer, and hopefully what we're saying, we'll have a degree of decent analysis to it. Yeah, we're going to try and get there as well. I said we're trying to get Stephen Finn into this as well, but Ed Jerome is giving us difficulties at the moment. The worst Wi-Fi in the world, possibly. Something like that. I mean, as well, the start of the game, it was such a poor start. Like, we said that it was, like, how did they get there? The first goal comes across from what was textbook nervy defending, really. And I think once that first goal went in, I thought, that's it, that's done for. We've all gotten our hopes up. The lads done well to get that victory in Portugal, but it's probably not going to be. And to show that bravery and desire that, I don't think it's been traits of an Ireland team. It's specifically not in the last couple of years. To come back against adversary, especially going 2-1 down then as well, to find it to 2-2, and then from there it did feel like, okay, there was going to be a way. Even up to the point then Johnny Kenny's miss near the end, the last 5 minutes, I thought it was over, but Troy Parrott didn't think it was over, and I mean, of course he's got massive credit, but deservedly so, I think what we'll talk about later is it's a real coming of age moment for this Irish team. As I said, all these kind of feats achieved in this one chaotic game, but if you look at, like, we could have very easily went and beat Portugal 2-0. We notoriously struggled in the second game with international break, and we could have easily went and maybe after that first goal we collapsed, similar to the Armenia game where we really collapsed on the pitch, just a lack of leadership, structure all over the place. That could have very easily happened under a relatively toxic atmosphere in Budapest as well. Could have kind of just went away from us, but it didn't. And as you said, to show that kind of bravery and steely kind of resolve to come back into the game. We obviously get a penalty, which
we have had some strokes of luck in this campaign. The red cards, obviously at home, we've had a red card in every single home qualifier this campaign. We've had penalties given for us. We've also had penalties given against us, of course, in Portugal. But some breaks have went our way. But I feel like that penalty really settled us down. The nerves kind of were gone then, really. And we did start to grow into the game, and you could see the kind of belief and confidence that gave the players kind of going in. Just to look at the second goal then for Hungary, like Varga, it's an unbelievable strike. It's absolute quality. Like if any other player does that, it's genuinely world class. But
I do feel like Colin should have closed him down, but that's maybe not coming from a neutral, perspective. As
I thought it was
find holes to pick in your own side.
Yeah, he stands off him and gives him just way too much space, and as we've seen for the last 3-4 years, we need to be quicker closing players down from outside the box, because we notoriously give away these wonder strikes.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it was going to go our way then as well. Again, in the second half, I felt like we were giving so many silly fouls away. There were so many like soft free kicks given. I think there was one in particular from Ida, I remember, and being like, guys, we need a goal here. But I mean, fair play to all involved in the end. I know we're going back to that goal. I've watched it 1,000 times, but even from everyone involved, from Caoimhin Kelleher's pass, from Liam Scales' flick on, and then Parrott's finish. It's like, it's so deft, it's so delicate. Like, he knew what he needed to do, just getting it stood on the goal. I mean, everyone was, I think, is comparing it to Robbie Keane's goal in 2002, which, funnily enough, neither of us were born then.
We're not going to pretend like we were there, or we know what kind of.
Oh yeah, back in the day, remember that?
I remember it.
Where were we at the moment? But yeah, it's just, I mean, Troy Parrott's interview afterwards, I mean, some of it was played in our intro for this, was just so emotional, and he deserves it, because we've talked time and time again. It was only a couple of weeks ago where we were pointing out that he deserves so much credit for going out of his comfort zone, going into Europe, reaping the rewards, becoming so much of a better player for it, and for that player to become maybe the most famous man in Ireland for a day or two, whatever it is, to become a role model for so many people going forward, even if it is only to get us into a playoff. It's totally deserved from him, because he's done the hard work, he's done the grafting, and I mean, it's almost, you look back and be like, where would we be if he started the first couple of games, if he wasn't facing injury?
Yeah, it's like we've had glimpses of hope. We've had kind of individual players perform over a couple of games. Even to look at the last successful qualification campaign, obviously for Euro 2016, we had Jeff Hendrick, who had a couple of really, really good performances, was consistently good that campaign. Jonathan Walters stepped up, got a couple of goals. A lot of key goals, obviously, against Bosnia-Herzegovina in the playoff and in other games. But we've never had someone who has literally just took our qualification hopes over 2 games, took it by the scruff of the neck, and done what he did. None of the goals were tap-ins. I know 2 of them were penalties, but like the 3 other goals, like, he had to work for them. It was sheer kind of talent and quality and gambling for the winner that kind of done it for him, and it wasn't just him simply kind of tapping in or kind of open goals or anything like that. It was very much him taking this by the scruff of the neck and putting in a performance akin to Dominic Szoboszlai for Hungary against us, because I thought he was outstanding regardless of their results. Regardless of them of losing to us, I thought he was outstanding, and it's just been such a long time since we've had a player to come and really just grab the team by the neck and carry us through. And as we've said on a big talk about international football, it's very different from club football. If you have one guy who can just kind of get you through games and give you the quality to win games, then you will be successful. And listen, let's get carried away, because when's the last time we've been this high? But Parrott looks to be that guy now, and hopefully he can continue being it. Obviously the question will be is if Evan Ferguson gets back in at Roma, what happens? Do we go 2 up top? Who drops out? So I don't think it can be Parrott now, to be honest, for the 2 games coming up in March, but we will see, because that is probably the major question around kind of the striking position at the minute.
Yeah, I think they've tried it before and it hasn't looked the greatest, but that's obviously going to be a headache. I don't want to look too far ahead till March, because then we'll probably get our hopes down. But it is time to kind of enjoy ourselves here, really, and just have a good time, right? I think we all deserve it. The national team deserves it. As
I said, I'd seen, I think it was a Sunderland fan podcast, they were like, let's get carried away, let's enjoy this. Like, it's Sunderland doing so well, obviously their first time
Troy
Premier
Parrott
League.
is the best striker of all time. Make him Pope, make him like anything.
The Troy Parrott Dublin Airport.
Yeah, I'm loving all the memes and stuff that we're seeing online at the moment. Right, I did mention that we're having technical difficulties. I'm going to throw to a short 1 minute break, and I'm going to try and get Stephen on the line now. We'll see how it goes. If not, you'll be hearing from us again just in a minute. It's time.
That is really, it's a fairy tale. You can't even dream about something like that. I honestly have no words to describe the emotions right now.
Well, a nation thanks you.
That's Troy Parrott. That is unbelievable. He scored a hat-trick.
They've made the unbelievable come to pass. They were out of contention.
To go down in the game twice and then to come back like that is it's beautiful.
As I said, I had faith in this team. There's two people that have come into this camp recently, and that's Seamus Coleman and John Egan. And what they've put into the team and the energy
First of all, I want to ask you, how are you doing after all that? We heard you a bit on the radio yesterday, and obviously very emotional reaction, and we love to see, obviously, yourself, you're UEFA qualified coach, but it's not the tactical stuff we want to be talking about today, it's the emotion. We want to get deep into this. How are you feeling?
Yeah, if you make me cry again, I'll never come on your show again.
Oh, well, we're very glad to have you anyway, so we'll try our best not to do that.
Brilliant. Well, look, when I think about it, there's a million different reasons to get emotional, because we've all been through a lot in terms of anyone who likes this sport in Ireland. And we've had an awful lot of negativity, and also we've had a period when essentially it was easy to mock the national team because it wasn't winning. I by the narrative around Stephen Kenny's reign as Ireland manager, because I am a very analytical person, and when it comes to football, I try to be as objective as possible. And all of the analysis was that Ireland, under Stephen Kenny, were heading in the right direction, just couldn't get over the line on two areas, which killed them. Ultimately, we didn't score enough of our big chances, and we too often conceded goals we shouldn't concede. So people mock teams which don't win and praise teams which do win, and so often it's just literally the littlest detail, as Trapattoni always used to say, which could decide something. If you just froze time at Troy Parrott's toe poke, my split second reaction was, has that gone in? I couldn't even hear the
I think
commentary.
Was it Ronnie Whelan or Ray Houghton on commentary? He was too scared to look at the replay in case it was offside. Like, it was great to see everyone just losing the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. The ball literally stopped moving in the net. That I was like, oh my God, that's actually in. And then I went, Doolally, and my children and my wife were looking at me, and yeah, it was they were jumping around the place in excitement. My wife is Italian, so we desperately do not want Ireland and Italy to meet in the playoffs. We want both teams to qualify, so all of that stuff, I think, built up the emotion. When I saw the replay in slow mo and all, Malumbi start crying, and that just set me off. Even thinking about it now puts me at great risk of crying again. But then also, it's an incredibly small country. Like, when I look at that team, when I was coach at Leinster Youths, I was looking at players all over Leinster. We were going to Germany to play the Hessen FA. Now, Hessen is a province in Germany. Frankfurt would be the biggest city close to it. The population is playing an international match. So I was looking up and down all around, and Paul McShane's brother John rang me and said, I know a guy who I think really should be in that group. He's never been in an Ireland squad. He plays for Arklow Town. His name is Liam Scales. Will you go and watch him? So I said, yeah. I went and watched him, and straight away I thought, Chris, this guy is as good as I could want. He was tall, he was brilliant on the ball, he was winning all his headers. He was passing the ball out of the back fantastically well.
I have funnily enough, I have a Wicklow man sitting across from me here, and I believe he could talk to you about Liam Scales for hours if he was given the opportunity. But I think it's what makes this so much more emotional as well is the fact that like we've known these players in this squad for such a long time. Even someone like Troy Parrott we've been exposed to not only from the underage teams, but from, I mean, he was a known commodity from 17, 18 years old from the time he was at Spurs. And obviously I think you tweeted was it earlier today or yesterday about all the players that were involved in the under-19s, and obviously coming up through Kenny's ranked as well. And for me, I think we as a show, we kind of look back as Kenny's time as management, maybe not as the best time at the time, but we would argue that it set the building blocks a lot. And I think it's great that to see this squad, because we feel like we know the players, we've known them for such a long time, and maybe that's the difference between this Ireland squad and ones of previous years where maybe it might have felt like a mismatch of players thrown together.
Look, you're right, and I suppose the point I was trying to make about Liam Scales was that it's not too hard to find somebody who's got a connection to him. It's not too hard to find. You could bump into Nathan Collins' dad at a Cherry Orchard match. Evan Ferguson didn't play yesterday, but his dad Barry runs the DDSL. I actually all of these, we have so many connections. A friend of mine once got and told him that his son was going to be a professional footballer, and he said, "All right, what's his name?" And he's like, "Chidozie Ogbene." And I said, "What age is he?" He said, "He's 11." And my friend was like, "Okay, right, I'll watch out for him." Years later, we see Chidozie, and then like I would have seen Chidozie play for Cork, his youth team in the UEFA Youth League. I would have seen him play for Limerick. FA Cup final for the last couple of minutes. So we've had this connection with these players. And the blooding of all those players, like they're all now around 30 plus caps. It's not wildly dissimilar team, and he had I would look, he definitely had a more talented crop than we did. They had come so close in 82, but he had the Brady Stapleton, Dave O'Leary, I mean, as new additions to that group, but they were all around 30, 40 caps when Jack took over. So they'd done so much learning. And this group, even in this campaign, in the space of 12 weeks, have done so much learning. They know, like, if you look at the Hungary home game, we were really poor, but again, the goals blind the actual performance. We made 2 blunders defensively to give Hungary a 2-0 lead, and they through. But actually, we showed that day by just bombarding their box and playing with everything that we had in us that we could hurt them. So I always felt going into this last match, I tweeted just before the game, if we can be good in transition, defend flawlessly, which we didn't do, but get good crosses in, we can hurt Hungary. So I always felt going into the last match, if it was a case of we just need to win, we could do it. And that's why actually the Portugal game was critical, and I was so obsessed with us winning. My ginormous analysis ahead of that game, but I was convinced that Ireland could win last Thursday. I had absolutely no doubt in my mind if we changed a few little things to how we played. Now, I was advocating for us to go to a back 4, but really what I wanted was to get 2 men in our attack as much as possible. So when we get Troy with a partner, or we get Evan with a partner, or even if it's Ida with a partner, I think we're way more dangerous. As the little subtle differences where Chidozie Ogbene got close to Troy Parrott so fast, so often. Finn Azaz did really as well on Thursday night, and that was where the bones of our victory came from. We gave their defence something to think about. So you go from having 2 mild shots in Lisbon and 0 corners to suddenly I think we had 14 attempts on goal on Thursday. Like, that's giant difference. You've got to be in the opposition half, and that's where I think Ireland should be. You know, getting at the opposition. It's not about just bashing the ball up the pitch. You got to play it with intelligence, but you got to be energetic, and you try and win the ball in the opposition half, and try and win corners, and try and win free kicks, and try and win throw-ins, and just, you know, be super aggressive. And if we controlled way, if we are that, then I think we can be a bother for any team.
Because I think we talked about the Portugal 2021 game under Kenny, where like I was looking at the kind of the chances we created in that game, the XG and stuff, and how well we did, and even just touching on having the two guys up front. Like I remember from that game specifically with Conley and Ida up front, and I remember Ida having an absolute stormer. Like Ruben Diaz, I think, was marking him in that game, and he was unbelievable. Like he was hold the play and stuff, which is, as a Celtic fan, which is something I probably would have give out a bit of now from his time at Celtic. He kind of hold the play, let him down at times, but that game specifically, I remember Ida and Conley working off each other so well. And I think we've seen something akin to that in Budapest with Parrott Ogbene, and just being able to Ogbene specifically being able to kind of get on those kind of loose balls and just really driving at Hungary, because as I said, I think just having those two up top in those attacking areas, as I said, just makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, and look, I'm a massive fan of Adam Mida, and I get very annoyed with the sneering criticism that he gets off people. Yeah, there's certain attributes, like Liam Neeson says, he has a certain set of skills. If you play to them, he's very, very effective. His hold-up play should be better. There's no doubt about it. But is it better or worse than Evan Ferguson's? Like, let's be honest here. Troy Parrott's much better hold-up play than both of them. But what Adam is very, very good at is running the channels. He's fast, he's big, he's got a great snap finish. I'd say Adam probably laughed his head off in one way, ironically, when he saw Martin O'Neill took over as Celtic manager and suddenly started bombing the ball into the box. The amount of times Celtic were just playing, as Duco James called it, the horseshoe of death, and never crossed the ball. If you play to his attributes, he's a good player in my opinion, and I do hope he proves that with Swansea. I think Parrott is moving on to a higher level, and hopefully Evan now will get clear of injuries, add a little bit more. Maybe you should go to Troy Parrott's inner city school of street smarts to just become a little bit cuter about winning free kicks higher up the pitch, holding the ball up, using his body a little bit more. But Evan is a world-class finisher. Like, if the three of them can keep on their momentum, if Johnny Kenny keeps on his momentum, suddenly the Irish team looks like it has people who can score goals. And with Caoimhin Kelleher being one of what I think that's two really strong assets for the team. We need to get better with our defence. We need to hopefully get a midfielder who can kick us on to the next level. But they're all pieces and they're all coming together at exactly the right time.
Yeah, I'd be fully on board with that there. And I think one thing we've talked, myself and James have talked consistently on the show here, is that how much we cannot be using the excuse of we don't have the players, because I think you look at those two performances and you can laugh in the face of people who suggest that we don't have the players for performances. But I think one point I've seen a lot of people making is that probably how much the likes of a Coleman, and even to a lesser extent that's been mentioned, John Egan, have come into the side to kind of guide what has been a young side. I think there was an average age of something like 26 for Ireland's team yesterday, and that's even with the massive outlier of Coleman being 37 years old.
Without him, I think it's 23.4, which is like a huge drop off as well compared to Hungary's was 28.
How important do you think it is? Go ahead, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, and that's the thing. International team, older lads, and the under-21s. Like in Ireland, let's be honest, right? I was at the under-21 game on Friday. Jacob Devaney was the best player on the pitch. He's 18. If he gets anywhere near Man United's first team, yeah, it would be insane for him not to be promoted to the Ireland senior international team. So, an 18-year-old with Ireland will get called into the senior team fairly quickly. We're not the only country that does that, but when they come in, and they're not coming in to join a bunch of 28-year-olds. Like when Ronaldo broke into the Portugal team, he was like everyone's little baby brother because he was so much younger than everyone else. It's a different story. Ireland could have a team where very few of the players are even tipping 30, and a 17 or 18-year-old could be joining that, and he's not joining seasoned old hands who can talk him through it. So they've been on an evolution as a group. Those hard years are now making the players understand that little bit more about how they can apply their ability and get results. And that's why this week I think is critical for the development of this group. We've proven we can beat a giant at home, and we've got a significant away victory, probably, I would argue, for the first time since we beat Scotland in 1987. So that's how long ago it was that we got a win against a team that, in terms of the evolution of the group, you can't underestimate how important this week has been.
I think you can definitely say it's this generation's kind of come of age, like, and just touch on like the emotion Malumbi showed and all these guys showed. Like they've been through so much as like a international squad together, like going from the 21s, being thrown in at the deep end with the senior team, having all those learnings, those low moments, losing like a large share of games. Like they've had to suffer a lot. They've had to take endless criticism from pundits about being the worst Irish team of all time and stuff like that. And I think specifically just this week they seem to have come of age. And you look at even Stephen Kenny's under 21 squad, I think it was 2019 maybe, against Azerbaijan, I believe it was. Just looking at the 11 from that game, 7 of that team were involved this week. So Malumbi, Coventry, Parrott, Ida, Kelleher, Scales and O'Shea. So it's just, for me, we said at the time when Heimer came in that, when Kenny left, that like whoever comes in after Kenny was going to benefit from him having blooded all these guys. And I think specifically this week we've seen these guys really come of age in an Irish jersey and get the big payoff they deserve, because they've had so many low moments, and it's only right that they kind of get to feel this high that like does occasionally come being an Irish fan.
Yeah, and it was interesting. If you ever get a chance to look back at I was at the Ireland game against Portugal on Thursday. I don't know if you could see it on television, but at the final whistle, Adamida literally lay down on the ground. I was thinking he only came on. So boy, is he so tired? It was nothing to do with tiredness. It was pure getting a win that probably all of them have been waiting for. If you remember the Holland game at home, we were completely written off. We knew that the Kenny era was coming to an end. And that first half, we were absolutely exceptional against the Dutch. And I really, Adam scored penalty and was just really, really good. And you were wishing that night that even if we knew we weren't going to get into the qualifying spaces, that we could get that big win the players wanted so much. 1-0 and Collins' header is saved. That result was a brilliant performance. It was the Pavard goal came from just like the narrative that we overplayed used to drive me mad. Like essentially, Cullen just made a bad decision. He should have just hooked it on. He didn't. He tried to control it, and Pavard jumps on it. We lose the game 1-0. And that obviously was a terrible start to the group in the result sense. But you could see that the players have ability. You could see that the players could produce big performances. But big performances, the results to endorse all of the work. And that's what this week has produced.
I'll definitely go ahead.
Yeah. And just the knock-on effect now means is, it sounds bizarre, but this time 6 weeks ago, if you had said, number one, that we qualified for playoffs, people would say, don't know about that. And number two, if you say, well, if we go into the playoffs, you know what? Nobody will want us because we're actually going to be really on a flyer. And now it's true. Like, I'm literally looking at the entire list of teams that we could potentially get, and I'm thinking, if if we can get to hold that any of those teams, even Italy in the Aviva in the semi-final, you'd be thinking, you know what? I don't think we'll end up getting Italy anyway. But even if we did, if we ended up playing Italy in the Aviva with the momentum that we've built, I'd be saying, yeah, bring it on. And the lads, regardless of how it works, if we can get the home semi-final, I think we'll win the semi-final, and then obviously if we get to the final, whoever that is, the draw could, because I think you could end up getting 2 home games, you could end up getting 2 away games. We won't really know, and that's going to cause its own problems. Imagine if we get through to the final and we don't know what country we're going to until 4 days beforehand. Make a fortune. But I think that the evolution of this group of players now will be, they will not fear anyone in the playoffs, and that's an incredible thing to be saying.
Yeah, obviously we've talked about the evolution of the players so much, and credit to them, but how about the evolution of the manager? I think there was only 2 months ago that me and James were sitting not far from this studio talking about him being a dead man walking, really, and only a few weeks ago the news came out that he was interested in, or Indonesia had interest in hiring him as their next international coach, and we didn't really bat an eyelid. There's talk of, is it going to be Bradley, is it going to be Duff, is it going to be another option? People weren't even considering that this guy could keep his job, and surely the contract is there for him now if he wants it. I mean, the players are obviously playing for him. He's managed such a mentality shift. I'm so used to Ireland teams going 1-0 down and being like, the game is over, and somehow I think Cal Grimson has turned this team into believers. I think they back their own abilities, they've got a bit of will, and I we haven't been the most positive of him at sometimes here on the show, but we got to kind of eat our humble pie and say what a job he's done in turning that team morale around and making them believe in themselves.
Yeah, look, I think in football the manager gets too much credit and too much slack, and usually the truth is somewhere in the middle. The question always is, have you prepared the players for the challenge ahead? And sometimes the manager has done everything that could be done and the players drop short through their own weakness. And the manager is not going to walk out unless he's a narcissist and say, these players let me down. So you betrayed the trust of the players and they're never going to perform for you. So he's probably had to swallow things where he said, we warned them about this and it's not happened. But I think he's probably learned a lot about his players. He's learned a lot about them as people. He learned also, some of the intangible assets. He recognised the dirt of leadership. Without being hypercritical, I wouldn't be the biggest fan of Nathan Collins. Benefits from being the captain. I think it would be much better for him to just focus on being the best centre-back that he can possibly be. But regardless of all that, I think Coleman is like the de facto captain on the pitch, and Egan has come in as like being another captain in and around the group. And all of those little things have, helped the group come through a testing period. I think certain things have fallen in our favour, but also you don't forget that Troy Parrott missed the first window. Came on a sub in the middle window because he was only on his way back from injury. And then we go into these games without Evan. And, Evan is a world-class finisher and has proven and kept us in the competition. But then, funnily enough, we weren't really thinking Evan wasn't there in the 2 games because Troy stepped up and because his assets or his attributes as a player were perfectly suited to the challenges that were there. It will be really fascinating to see if we can get. That's part of the manager and the management team's evolution, is how they can then work out how to build on this momentum and take it to another level where do we definitely need to be playing the 3 at the back all the time? If we've got, 2 serious level strikers, we want them on the pitch as often as possible. So there will be further evolution of this group of players. I've been extremely impressed by how calm Heimer has been when it seemed all hope was lost. Well, Mats, and after the first phase, I was like, why is everyone saying this is over? Yeah, we're in a tight spot, as I say in Brother Art there, but it was definitely mathematically still on, and until it's not, you have to keep on going. And I actually wasn't as positive by the performance in Lisbon, because I just don't think we're safe with the park and the bus. But I felt it keeps us in the race. And then we went into the final furlong and we got 2 wins. So I'm delighted for them all. I'm delighted for the management, and I could see there's still improvements to be made, and I'm sure they know that.
Yeah, very good. Stephen, I think we're going to leave you to go there. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been a great chat, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again maybe soon if we find out who our playoff opponents are, or after the playoffs. I will say we love all your writing. I think a lot of your pieces get sent around in our group chat, and dissected, and we're always very, very positive about it. So excited to see what you have for us next, and we'll keep on top of that. Thanks very much for joining us.
Excellent. Keep up the good work, lads.
Cheers, Stephen.
Have a good one.
I think, listen, the issue in regarding taking the knee, some people seen it as you're supporting a Marxist organisation. Marxist is, equality. This, what is Marxism like? Does Capital, for example, it's not Mein Kampf, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's not Mein Kampf. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, whether you believe or don't believe in it's not McCarthyism, Chidozie Ogbenya, the first African-born player to play for Ireland. Very proud moment for a lot of people. I don't see it as a political issue, taking the knee. I think it's a humanitarian issue, just about supporting people. And we want the Irish team to make the Irish public proud, and we have to do that with our performances and our results. We have to do that, but it must be reflective of, it's a new multicultural Ireland and a new team that represents all facets of society. And that's the thing about football. It represents, every strand of society.
And we're back. That was a great chat with Stephen. Really, really enjoyed it. Thanks for Stephen coming on for his time, of course, because we were having a few technical difficulties beforehand. I mean, we're going to go behind the fourth wall a bit here, but James was kind of keeping the show going when I was 10 minutes trying to get the Zoom up and trying to present a show at the same time. That's probably the most stressed I've been stressed since watching the game yesterday, maybe.
Who said men can't multitask?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's time to get into the playoff permutation. I don't even want to think about the playoffs. I just want to watch the Parrott goal again and again and again and again. One thing I love, I just wanted to mention on the show, I think I'm shouting him out every week at the moment, but friend of the show, obviously he's been on a couple of times. Our friend Conal Diggin was over at the Bernabeu watching the NFL, and he told me he spent the entire NFL game watching the Ireland game on a second screen, and I just thought that was hilarious. He said it was the best experience, but just because of the Ireland game.
This is the same man who went to a Kerry FC game instead of an NFL match. That was paid for him.
Incredible. But yeah, I'm scrambled. The fact that I'm still here a day later, I'm so excited. Right, let's talk about the playoffs. I think the first thing to say is, even from here, even if we don't get to a World Cup, I do care, but I don't. I'm so proud of this team. I think we have written and said. I tweeted about the podcast we did two months ago, titled "The Worst Performance in Our History." That has aged so dreadfully since then. But in such of our writing, I think we both aimed to get to this stage as this would be amazing if we got here. We didn't even think about winning the Group B. It was just if we can get here. We were positively optimistic, I think. But now that we're here, it's we got to think about the next step now, which is that we've got 2 playoff games and not one double-legged game. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't think anyone really knows what's going on with the playoffs, but the draw is being made on Thursday. It looks like we're either going to be most likely to be in pot 3, but if there's going to be a more coefficient draw, I think on Wednesday, that could move us up into pot 2, and we're waiting for a couple of results to go.
Yeah, Bosnia. We need Bosnia to not win away to Austria, which is likely, and then we need Wales to not win at home to North Macedonia, which is, to be honest, a bit of a coin flip given Wales' kind of performances this campaign. They should have beaten North Macedonia away. They dominated the game, but this Wales team has kind of had a couple of poor results, particularly last few games, lost games in friendlies and stuff, lost to Belgium 4-2, so it's definitely a coin flip. So it's possible that we get that we go into pot 2, and then we'll have the advantage of hosting a pot 3 side, which is either going to be Albania, Bosnia Herzegovina, Kosovo, or North Macedonia. And then if results don't go on our way, then we will be pot 3 and we'll be away to one of Wales, Scotland or Denmark, Slovakia and Czech Republic. So it's, as you said, you don't want to look too far ahead onto the playoff. You want to enjoy the moment. But I just one thing I wanted to touch on what Stephen said about kind of this group in particular coming of age, and I think what he said about this group showing that it has a big performance in them. But he was right in saying the Dutch home game in the last qualification campaign under Kenny, the French game, the opener of that qualification campaign, one where we did lose the game, but I thought the performance was one of the best performances I've seen going to the Aviva Stadium for the last 15 years. Being a season ticket holder, I was extremely proud of that team, and the narrative after, I remember Brian Kerr coming out and lambasting the team and Kenny, we lost the game. Yes, we lost the game to the best team in the world, the World Cup winners. And I just thought, I think the narrative that these players can't come together and put in a big performance, I think that was just false. I think we've seen it. We've seen it against France, we've seen it against Holland. There was obviously a lot of low moments under Kenny, but I feel like the narrative that they couldn't do it and didn't have the quality to do it was just wrong. And I'm actually delighted that these guys have shown it this week, and because they've been under immense scrutiny since coming up from the 21s to the senior team. People forget they were very close to qualifying for a maiden under 21s championships. They went to Sweden and won in that campaign. They had some massive results. They drew a home to Italy. This is a really talented group of players, and as I said, this golden generation has finally realised their potential and shut up a lot of people that needed to be quietened.
Yeah, obviously it's taken its time, and it's so good to see here. But there's so many players across the squad you can mention about. Obviously, Troy Parrott is going to be mentioned a million times, like we already have. But even the likes of, I want to go to Jason Malumbi in midfield, who we've brought up countless times in a number of shows. He was constantly ambassaded for not being good enough, and has become such a crucial player in the squad. Ryan Manning could not make it into the Ireland team, has become such an important player. Scales has barely played any games in this campaign. Granted, I don't think he had the best game yesterday, but I mean, that assist he gets, it's
I thought this all week playing at left wing back when he's a left centre back at
he was
Celtic,
brilliant.
He's been outstanding, specifically jumping up in the press and stuff. He was really aggressive, really assertive. He was obviously brilliant in the air and gets the all important assist for the goal. So I think, specifically Liam, as a Liam Celtic or Liam Scales enthusiast, I have to give my praise to him. Yeah,
obviously Seamus Coleman, 37 years old, not playing any games for his club, is basically a full-time international level player at this stage. I was thinking, would he be involved? And it's so important that he is in the end. Ogbene, it's so sad that injury. I thought when he went off in the second half that was the game over, because I mean Stephen brought up there, and I couldn't agree more with him, how important it was to get Parrott and Ogbene close together. That Ogbene in the last 2 games, or 1.5 really, because he mostly only played the first half, but it was just like that constant outball that we've been missing, and that's the Ogbene that was so good under Kenny. It was great to see him back. And to be honest, if he didn't go off injured, he might have scored, because it looked like he was true on goal before his hamstring. Obviously all important for winning that penalty. He should really be celebrated for getting back up to fitness and getting stuff. I've just said I think Finn Azaz was very poor, but the pass he plays for the second goal,
moment of quality, which he's shown he can do,
which is what we were saying. We need to get these creative players into the team, because they will have those moments of quality to pick a ball out that we wouldn't have picked out otherwise. The centre halves, for example, I know they were very nervy at the start of the game, but I think they really redeemed themselves, especially in that Portugal game. Like, I haven't been the biggest fan of Collins recently, and again I would 100% agree with Stephen. I don't think he should be the captain. I think he needs to worry about his own game. I don't think he makes a great captain, but he was excellent against Portugal, as was O'Shea, as was O'Brien, and they really marshalled the defence. Obviously we know Caoimhin Kelleher's standards. I would consider him close to being a world class keeper. The squad is I can't have enough credit for them and how they've gotten here.
The thing with Collins as well is, people forget, I was before just doing the docket this morning, I was looking at the average age of Irish players, obviously, so I was going individually looking at the ages of everyone, and like Collins is 24. Like this guy, we've kind of probably given out a lot about Collins with his performances in Ireland jersey, but I think kind of Stephen's spot on in that, like, him being captain seems to play on his mind a bit. Mentally he seems to be seems to make more errors than he does for at club level when he plays for us, and we play a very similar way to Brentford. We sit deep, we're cautious. Like, it's not like he's completely changing the way he plays for his club for us at international level. So for me, I think I think Coleman being the captain, and I think he kind of is that captain on the pitch really, but like, people do forget he's only 24, and there's not a lot of 24-year-olds captaining like a top 70 nation in the world at international level. Like, it is rare, so I think people should definitely kind of tone back the criticism maybe on him, due to kind of maybe the captaincy does kind of take its toll on him.
I wish we had like another hour to talk it. It's absolutely flown by. We haven't got on to the Ronaldo stuff in Portugal. I would still love to delve more into these.
We could do an own episode on that Ronaldo moment.
Well, I mean, we have all the way up until March with probably very little Irish football to talk about with the League of Ireland season done, and no games until then now. So I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about, and hopefully we'll have plenty more people to get on the show like we did with Stephen today. The pot 2 teams look like difficult games. Wales aren't obviously the team that they used to be, but I don't know how much I'd fancy ourselves against the likes of a Scotland, Slovakia or a Czech Republic come March, but I think if we played anyone next week, I'd fancy us to beat anyone, because the team is so confident at the moment. Anyways, shall we talk for like 2 minutes a bit about the under-17s before we wrap up? And of course the goalkeeper that they had in that penalty shootout.
The pantomime villain who has been absolutely vilified on Irish Twitter and Irish TikTok. It's quite funny that our under-17s are at a World Cup and potentially have a game that could put them into a quarter final, and this kind of is thrown in at the last 5 minutes of the show. It just shows the mad week of international football we've had. But obviously, as I'm sure everyone has seen, Ireland's 17s beat Canada on penalties in the last 32. To be honest, Ireland were much the better side, should have beaten them in normal time, and that's obviously set up the last 16 tie versus Switzerland tomorrow at 2:45, which is a huge game in the context of Irish football. If like an Irish underage side getting to a World Cup in general is a real landmark achievement, for them to get to a quarter final would be absolutely ridiculous. Just to touch on the Switzerland side that they'll be played them in a warm-up game before the tournament, which is interesting. That game was 1-1. Switzerland have won 3, drew one of their 4 games in the tournament so far, scoring 10 times, conceding 3 times. So like, this is going to be a real test for Ireland. Switzerland are, as we know from their senior international team, very, very good side, and I'm sure it's going to be a really tough game for them. But listen, hopefully they could do it, and get into a last day of a World Cup would be an absolute ridiculous achievement. And
Michael Noonan as well, as we talked about last week, getting a lot of attention. A lot of teams in England snooping around him at the moment. I think Everton and Man United have been linked to him. I'm sure they're not going to be the only ones as well. We forgot to mention Troy Parrott seems to be, they've got interest from loads of teams. I think that the people are talking about a 20 million valuation for him at the moment.
Please stay on the continent, Troy.
Yeah, I think we discussed this, that it looks like he will not be returning to England, which is something that we'd be very happy about. But
it'd be something a lot of the Irish guys that are in the pool could take inspiration from.
I think I'm going to wrap up here because I want to hear that intro again. Like, that was brilliant what we had. I want to just let it sit in and we'll do that again.
Shout out to the 21s as well, who were very unlucky to lose 2-0 to England. Pretty poor referee, held England to 9 shots each on both sides, and against a star-studded England team. So they play Andorra at 6:30 tomorrow. Hopefully they can get back to winning ways. But yeah, really impressive performance, has to be said.
This has been Ireland Radar. This has been on Fred FM 101.3 FM. You can catch us every Monday live here at 3 p.m. or afterwards on Spotify. I've been Dylan Hudson. This has been James French, and we are going to go and watch that Parrott goal over and over and over and over again. See you next time. Goodbye.
Throw of the dice. It's all on this from Queevy Kelleher. Scales is up after it. Scales wins the hair. The chance. Yeah! There's the goal. That's Troy Parrott. That is unbelievable. He scored a hat-trick. And right at the death, Ireland have done it. I've never seen anything like it. This is just stunning. 3-2. The time is up. The referee has to finish the game. I've no voice left. Soboslai again. He gets away from Eden. Soboslai delivers the ball in. Queevy Kelleher catches it. Kelleher's got it. The referee has to blow it up now. Come on. He has to finish it now. The 5 minutes, well, that was 2 minutes ago. Here we go, Kelleher just launch it down the field.
His timing just hit the channel.
They've been playing catch up all night. There it is, it's over. It's over. And Budapest, the Puskás Arena, joins the likes of Stuttgart, Giant Stadium, Vienna. Remember the win over Austria? Oh, Vienna. It's one of those nights that we're going to talk about for a long, long time. You gave us many of them.
We thought Thursday night was special. Wednesday night, and that's the last few seconds of the game.
I tell you, we said at the start we believed. The belief was rocked and it shook during the game, but we should never have doubted them.
I am lost for words. What an extraordinary story this is. You said Thursday was the best night of your life. You've just topped that.
Yeah, I'm really, really emotional right now. Sorry. The tears of joy. What a night. What a night.
It was made for you. I mean, I don't know even the penalty to begin with. It took so long. Were you waiting for the referee's whistle, or were you just trying to psych the keeper out?
The referee told me to wait for the signal, so I was waiting for him to blow his whistle, but then he never blew it, so I looked at him, then he told me I could take it. So
how did you keep your cool though? I mean, you must have been so nervous.
I don't know. I'd rather have that pressure on me, and whatever happens will happen, than to pour on somebody else and leave it out of my hands. I'd rather it be in my hands. I can't believe it. I really can't believe it.
Well, the second goal, I mean, striker's instinct. That's what it's all about. What you've been practicing all your life.
Yeah, this is why we love football, because things like this can happen.